What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So as you can already see by the title of this video, we're going to be working on the Sportster project, and as you can tell, we're going to be adding an exhaust. So without further ado, let's just get right into the unboxing. So as you can see, I already opened up the box. Everything's wrapped up really good. So let me put the camera down and let me finish unboxing real quick. Alrighty, so I got everything unboxed and unpackaged, and let me just tell you, this is not going to do it a justice, but this entire box is packed with this packing paper. It took me about 15-20 minutes to unwrap all the exhaust parts, which is good. I'd rather have it overwrapped than underwrapped and then have your parts be damaged, so that is always good. So this should be a relatively easy install. Did come with instructions, but pretty simple. I just kind of reference the instructions for kind of, if they want this piece on before the other piece, so on and so forth. And then also just for the orientation of the heat shield clamps. The only thing I might have to run to the Harley dealer and get is new exhaust gaskets. We shall see. As you can tell, this still has the stock header on it, and then if you guys have been following the videos, you would see that when I first got the bike, it still had the stock slip-ons, and I found these Screaming Eagle 2 slip-ons on Marketplace for the time being. But in reality, I stumbled across this deal. So this is the Cobra 2-in-1 El Diablo for the 1986 to 2003 Sportster. This exhaust retails for about $658 for tax and all that good happy bullcrap. But I found this exhaust on Dennis Kirk, which I'll drop the link down below in the description. I was kind of watching the price. It went from like the $658 down to $520, and I was ready to pull the trigger, and I waited a couple extra days, and it went from $520 down to $468, and then I kind of signed up for their newsletter, and then I got an email containing an additional 10% off coupon. So after applying that coupon, this came down to $420. So I jumped all over it, because I did not foresee it going any cheaper than $420 for a $650 exhaust. Now, why did I go with Cobra? Simply because I wanted a chrome 2-in-1 pipe for the Sporty, because eventually in the future we're going to be putting a big bore kit on it. We're going to be boring it out from an 883 to hopefully a 1275 Hammer Performance kit, so stay tuned. But nonetheless, I wanted new exhaust and a 2-in-1 performance pipe. Now, why Cobra and not any other brands simply comes down to a price, but also simple because the bike is 22 years old. It will be 23 years old here shortly, and simply some manufacturers just don't make full exhaust for it anymore, and the ones that do, you can still get a Bassani, I believe, but that pipe's like $1,200-$1,300, and I simply just don't want to put that much money for an exhaust into a 20-something-year-old Sportster. So when I saw this Cobra 2-in-1 for $400, obviously, yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. I don't know, we'll see. It's got to be better than the stock, and Cobra's a good brand. This will be my first Cobra pipe that I've ever had on anything, but I do know the brand's been around for quite some time, so I feel fully trusted to put their products on my Sportster. But that's exactly why I went with Cobra. The pipe is nice. You could tell it does have a louvered baffle in there. I don't know how well you can see that, so that is good, because we know the louvered baffles make the most power, and so does a 2-in-1. So we're going to start by taking the stock exhaust off, and then I'll inspect the exhaust gaskets on the front and rear cylinder, and maybe we'll have to go take a trip to the Harley dealer to pick up some new gaskets. Try to look. The nuts still look in pretty good shape, and on the flanges, so definitely reuse all that stuff. And if you're unfamiliar, this is obviously, like I said, 03 Sportster, as you can tell, anniversary edition. I bought this in February of 25, and it only had 843 miles. So obviously this thing didn't really get used much at all, so I feel pretty confident if I would reuse the exhaust gaskets if they still look good, because the thing just hasn't had that much riding. And as of me recording this video, so I am at 1786, and it is, at the time of me recording this video, October 3rd. So as you can tell, I definitely put more miles on it this year than it had in the first 22 years of its life. And obviously, you know, I have my 21 Road Glide as my primary bike, so naturally between the two you can't ride them both at the same time. Let me get you guys set up, and we'll start taking this exhaust off. Okay, so I just realized you guys probably want a before and after. So before we get started, I'm going to crack the garage door open here. It's completely cold, so the sound's going to be a little skewed because it will be on the choke, but you'll get an overall idea of kind of what it sounds like. Like I said, this is a stock head pipe with just the Screaming Eagle 2 slip-ons, and the Screaming Eagle 2 slip-ons still have their respective baffles in, so just keep that in the back of your minds. But so real quick, like I said, that was with the choke on, but you can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like, and we're in the shed too, so, but nonetheless, there you have it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start taking the flange nuts off on the front and rear cylinder. Those are 1/2 inch in size. They're, you know, the back's not too hard to get to. Front one, the one's not hard to get to, but the other one's pretty difficult and tight. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. I'm not too worried about the heat shields. And then the bracket down at the bottom here, we're just gonna worry about when we get there. The other thing that I just noticed is, and I forgot to mention earlier, this kit only works with the factory mid controls. It does not work with forward controls or aftermarket mid controls. I mean, you might be able to make it work, but according to the kit, it says specifically factory mid controls, just so you know. So I'll definitely probably have to take this highway peg off, but we'll just work through it, and we'll go as we go. So real quick, I got the 2 flange nuts off the rear and front cylinder. Like I said, those were 1/2 inch. Then the next thing I had to do was take off this locking nut for the front slip-on. That was a 3/4 in size. However, it was a pain to get to with the forward control, so I ended up having to loosen up the rear brake reservoir, which those were both 1/4 inch hex, just to get that shifted up, as you can see, so I could have enough clearance to get the socket on. I tried to do it with the wrench, but the wrench kept getting snugged on the rear clip back there, the rear cotter pin or whatever, so I had to take that off, like I said, 1/4 inch hex, so I could get a 3/4 inch socket onto that nut. And then the only other thing was there were 2 14 millimeter screws holding this rear bracket on, which is on the other side, or where the oil drain tube is. That was pretty self-explanatory. I found that 14 millimeter fit the best, also because I had to use a 1/2 inch breaker bar for the one, and I only have 1/2 inch sockets in 12 points. So very well could have been standard, but I just, like I said, the 14 millimeter fit the best, so that's what I used. I didn't want to strip it out, and took those 2 out. So at this point, everything is loosened up. I just got to take the entire exhaust off. So we're going to go do that right now. Just like that, old exhaust system off. Okay, so I looked at the exhaust gaskets. They look okay. I'll see when I go to get it in there, make sure they look like they see, and then obviously I'll check for exhaust leaks. But the next order of business is we got to take these retaining clips right there and these flanges off of the old exhaust and reuse those. These are relatively easy to take off, just flat tip screwdriver, and then these will just slide right off. And then obviously on the new pipes you reinstall the flange and then the retaining clip. So I'm gonna just go bang that out real quick. Okay, so I got the clips and the flanges off. As you can see, the flanges only go on one way. This is obviously the outside facing and this is the inside facing. As you can see, the retaining clip lays inside there. so you can't really screw that up. So we'll just pick a pipe, like I said, outside facing outside, slide that on, and then we'll just work to get this retaining clip back on. And like I said, these can be a pain. We just got to work with it. Probably have to do this off camera. Just takes a little bit. You just got to be patient, but it'll go on. So that's just the gist. Probably need to get a flat tip in here. Okay, so obviously I got the retaining clips and the flanges on both pipes, as you saw. So I kind of just test fit this one to see if I have to remove the highway peg, and kind of looking at pictures from Cobra, I might be okay leaving this here because there's no other linkages or anything that go back. So I'm just gonna loosely put the front flange nuts in, and then I'm gonna install the bracket for the rear exhaust, and then get the rear pipe kind of put in and the flange nut to put on loosely, and then I'll catch back up with you guys. Alrighty, so I really jumped ahead here. This was by far the hardest exhaust system I've ever had to install. So the instructions said install the front head pipe first. Obviously don't tighten it, install the rear, and then this front head pipe slides into the rear head pipe, where it goes into the 2 into 1. This did not want to slide on all the way whatsoever, so I try to take it off, slide it in, but then the angle's not right for it to line up to the head, and then yeah, so that took me a very long time to finally get it right. I used WD-40 to like try to help me slide it on and manipulate it to the correct angle. So anywho, I got everything, all the flange nuts tightened back down, got the clamps down here, got the muffler slid on and installed. I also had to retake the rear master cylinder off to get the pipes on the other side of the brake lever. So at this point, before I install heat shields, I want to make sure the exhaust isn't leaking. I have my doubts, but hopefully I am wrong, because I really don't want to mess with this anymore. I got it lined up as best as I could, but like I said, with the angle of that and sliding that front head pipe piece in, it was a complete nightmare. So buyer beware. Hopefully the pipe doesn't leak, and hopefully it sounds and performs amazing, because this was definitely a bitch just because of that angle of that pipe. If they could have manufactured this where it just came as one piece and everything lined up perfectly, would not be a problem whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and set you guys back up on a tripod, fire it up, check for exhaust leaks, and I pray there are none, because I don't even know what my next step would be due to the troubles that it's caused me so far. So. Alrighty guys, so as you saw it, no exhaust leaks up there whatsoever. I checked on both sides the best I could without burning my fingers, but I didn't feel any glaring heat or air blowing out, and just give it a couple blips. So real quick, I'm going to reinstall the rear master cylinder, and then I'm going to start putting the clamps on the heat shields to install the heat shields next. Probably won't get that done today because I'm running out of time. I got to go to work tonight, but at least I can go to work knowing 90% of the job is done and no exhaust leaks. So that is definitely awesome, because I don't know what the hell I would have done if it leaked, because like I said, it was a pain in the balls. So I don't quite remember where I left off yesterday. I know I got pretty much everything done. I know I fired it up to check for exhaust leaks and we were good. So at that point, I just had to simply put the heat shields on and then finish tightening up the muffler bracket, and then obviously the heat shields, and then just do a final once over flange nuts and all that stuff when it was heated up. So when I got off the camera, I did that. I retightened the flange bolts and the clamp bolts, and then I had to go to work. So this morning I finished putting the heat shields on, snugging everything down from top to bottom. So let me show you the finished product. So boom, there you have it. There's the Cobra El Diablo 2-in-1 pipe for 86 to 03 Sportster. The only thing I personally wish, I mean, it kind of goes good because part of the bike is black. I just wish it came with a chrome tip on the end. But I mean, you know, it is a nice little accent, especially considering part of the bike is black. So that's that. Obviously, I finished wiping all my paw prints off of it and whatnot. So I know you guys heard the pipe when I first started it up yesterday. But let me get the garage door cracked and we'll fire her up, see how she sounds all complete. And then I'm just going to do a once over, double check for any exhaust leaks or anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty much that. If you're looking for this pipe, like I said, I'll have the link down below in the description. These older bikes are starting to get limited on production of parts like that, you know, from different companies. But nonetheless, if you're looking for a 2-in-1 pipe, inexpensive, that looks really good, that's a great brand. Possibly this is the pipe for you. And I thought it sounded amazing yesterday. Definitely a lot louder than these Screaming Eagle slip-ons with the stock header. And this entire setup weighs, I didn't weigh it, but it is definitely significantly heavier than this. So it is also like a little weight reduction as well. But enough of me rambling, let's fire her up. Sounds great. So there you have it. There's the Cobra El Diablo 2-in-1. As you saw, I went around and just checked the exhaust flanges and where the front head pipe comes into the collector and then where the muffler slips onto the collector. Just making sure there weren't any exhaust leaks and whatnot, and you know, just heat cycling it. I don't know if you can see, but just a little bit of smoke from the pipes kind of just burning in and whatnot. But that's it. Now I got to just finish cleaning up at the garage, and maybe I'll take it out for a ride and see how it's doing. But that's going to wrap it up for this. I'm going to try to take it out here for a ride in a little bit, break it in, heat it up, bring it back, and then I'll probably, just because I'm particular about things, I'll just go over all the bolts and all the heat shields and whatnot, because obviously as things heat up, they expand and things might loosen up, and obviously the rattle and pop holes and whatnot. So we'll just go over everything once more once I get back from my ride. But that's going to conclude today's video. So if you guys made it this far in the video, make sure to smash that like button, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so that way you guys stay notified when I post new videos like this. And also, if you made it this far, comment down below what's my next mod I should make on the Sportster. I'm looking for some of you guys to kind of put your input in and give me some ideas. Obviously, we're going to eventually do a Hammer 1275 kit, but we got to allow for funds to accumulate for that. But nonetheless, make sure to ride safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace! Yeah.